What is happening? Okay, me.
It is recording now.
Now
Yeah.
it is recording. Okay, then continue.
Okay. So you can see here, right? Now I'm going to close all this thing. Let's not make it much complex. I'm coming back again here, and again I'm going to open the home controller. See, in a future, suppose maybe right now you're able to see only 3 controller. In the future, maybe there will be 100 controller or a 50 controller as per your project demand. You will create n number of controller under this controllers folder, right? So it is really very tough task and a tedious task to whenever you are going to create a new controller, and then you will have to put the authorized attribute over there. Are you getting my point? I mean to say, like whenever you are going to create a new controller, and so if you will not use it, if you will not register this authorized attribute as a global level, every time you will have, whenever you will create a controller, you will have to put that authorized attribute, right? So do we have any other option where we can write a single line of code and it will be applicable to all the controller? Yes, we have. And what is that place? That place is, as earlier I was trying to do, like here you can see under the filter config.cs I have written this one line of code. If I am going to uncomment it, what it will do, it will restrict the all the controller, right? Only it will allow to that controller or action method where you have used the allow anonymous. So if I have written this line of code, what will happen? It will not allow to action, it will not allow to access any action method which is a part of the home controller. So what I'm going to do, I'll just come here and I would like to allow only to the any user to see the home page only, not the about, not the content. And in the next couple of minutes, I will show you how I am going to provide the access. If you are a user and you have registered yourself, you can only see the about part. You cannot see the contact as well. But admin can see the all the action. I mean, all the view pages. How we are going to do that, that's I will explain here in the next couple of minutes. So let me run it first and let me show you. Now only the index page will be visible to the everyone. Either they have login or not, they can easily see the index page. But rest two action method which you have seen about and contact, that will be not accessible. And see, once I have clicked here, it is letting us on a URL. The user has come from the about page. Once you will enter the user ID and password and you have rights to access that particular content, it will redirect you on the particular view page where you have clicked earlier. Now again, see contact, we are not able to access, right? What I'm going to do here, see, under the models folder, we have the identity models.cs, which you can see here. This is the application DB context where you can see base dot. This is basically calling to the this class constructor. What I mean, if you will press the F12 here, see, this is a class and this is the constructor which you are trying to call here, right? So this is basically your connection string, which must have been defined by default under the web.config with the default connection name. You can give any name here, right? Three properties, if you like to connect with your local database, three properties are required to fill your name, the connection string, and provider name, which you can see in a bottom, right? So here, any name you can give. It does not mean that you will have to use the default connection. You can give any name. Suppose I am going to give, okay, my connection or my DB connection, any name you can give here, and that this name must should be passed here, right? Again, here you can see this is the data source. I mean, again, here you will have to configure data source, and this is a test DB file name which just create the MDF file and it stores under your project under the app underscore data, and this folder will be never entertained by the IIS. So as of now, I'm just going to remove it. It is not required, or you can keep it as same. That's not a problem. I'm just going to change the initial catalog, the database name here, and to do that, here I'm going to remove this part, and I am just going to write the name of the database. Like I'm just going to write a name of the database like Pankaj Rai, right? And the same name I am going to copy and I am going to replace here as well. So let me remove, because the same name it was already keeping here as an initial catalog. So I'm going to replace this one as well, right? Why I made a changes here, because I would like to run the migration, because I am going to follow the code first approach here. So that's the reason I'm doing this all the thing here. And under the identity model.cs here, what I'm going to do, I'm going to separate this file. Why? because I need only most of the time only this class where whatever the model in the future, if you will create under this model folders, that will be represent as your domain table. Like if you are working on a hospitality domain or a finance domain, so corresponding to that domain, you will create a different model that will be represented as a table into your database, right? So the beauty of the code first approach, like in Entity Framework, there are three approaches which we called code first approach, database first approach, and model first approach. So these two approaches are very famous, like code first and database first. The difference between code first and database first is, in a code first, you will have to do all the thing, like all the database activity you will do directly from your code. But in a database first approach, generally if you would like to, you have already application which has been developed in ASP.NET or any other technology, and now you have already the database already done, and that database you would like to reuse again, you can go with the database first approach. What you will have to do, you will have to just map the database with your application, right? Here in a code first approach, everything we are going to do, we no need to open the, I mean to say that the SQL server, I mean, if you need like a data source, what data source you are going to keep here, only for that purpose you can use the SQL server. So I'm just going to quickly open here to get the data source, because I would like to keep my table into a database into this particular server, this particular data source. I mean, so only for that reason, I'm going to open the database. I'll just copy the server name and I'll paste here. Server name is data source. Either you can keep here the data source or a server. Both are same. Either you can write here, you can see initial catalog. In the place of initial catalog, you can write the database as well. Choice is yours. And the third thing which you are able to see, integrated security, which is true. It means you are trying to do the Windows authentication. You can see here I'm going to select the Windows authentication. So for that reason, we need to do that. So first of all, let me click on connect. Okay, it is working fine. So I'm going to disconnect again, and I need only this server name. So I'm just going to copy, and I'm going to replace this data source with this value, and I'm going to connect it again, and let me show you there is not any database with the Pankaj Rai. That's the reason I have kept the name that will be unique, because that name does not exist into my database. Okay. Now let's come back here, and first of all, I'm going to do the migration here. So by doing that migration, what will happen, our database and everything will be created. So you will also get to know how Entity Framework code first approach actually works. So first of all, we will have to go under the package manager console and make sure that if you have a multiple project under your solution, right now you are able to see one project, but in a once you will work on your complete project, there could be, they have used the different tier of architecture, like so you will be able to see the 3 project or 4 project. It's totally up to the how they have configured their project, like a data access layer or a business access layer, and all the classes and your main application. That should be selected here where you would like to create the migration folder. So that project should be selected here. Here I'm going to run a command, enable migration. Let's hit the enter. What it will do, it will just create a enable migration here, and only it will allow to do if your application DB context exists. See, it is going to check the context. Context is here, which you can see identity model.cs. This context file it is going to check, and if everything will be fine over there, then it will enable the migration. And see here, the migration folder has got generated now. Configure.cs. Under the configure.cs, you will be able to see application DB context class here, which has been mapped right now. Now what we need to do to create a database, as of now, we don't have created, it has not created database set. If you'll check here, I am going to refresh it. And if you see here, still it has not created the database. So what we will have to do, you will have to add a migration, and you can give any name here, like I'm going to give, okay, I'm just going to initially, I'm going to load it. So see, it has created, and now you can see these are the tables which is coming from this identity user class. So 5 table I mean to say, you will get by default ASP.NET rows. This is the table where you will see all the roles, whatever the role you will create in a future, that will go under this one. Why? Because see, ID and name, that will be the ID and the name of the role. This is the ASP.NET user roles. I mean, here the user ID and the role ID, the ID which has been created here, that will be mapped under this ASP.NET user roles. The third table which you are able to see, this is the table where you are going to keep all the user information, ID, email, and all the details. This one I will entertain later. And here ASP.NET user logins. Like earlier I told you, here under the app underscore start startup.auth, like you can see two thing has been given, app ID and app secret. So that's information will go here, like from where you have login into that project. I mean to say, like you have login from the Facebook or a Twitter or a Microsoft account, where you have login, that name will come here, and the key and user ID which you have, I mean the user information which user is going to authenticate by that social platform. So that information basically will come under the ASP.NET user logins. Now the question will come to our mind, why I am doing all this thing? The reason is now I am going to create a role, and that role information will be added here. If I'll come now, I am going to just run the another command which I will use here, update database. And this update database command, what it will do, it will just create the all the table along with the I mean to say that the database name which we have given into the web.config, like a Pankaj Rai, the database name. If you like to see what type of query is going to be applied into your database, you can use the verbose command. Otherwise, it is not required. Choice is yours. If you are completely new in for this approach, I'll recommend you should use this command, so you will be able to see all this thing. I can also do, but it will take time. Let's leave it. Directly, I am going here now. See, it is giving error. What error is giving? Let's read it. So directly look up this field with the operating system error. Access is denied. Create database field. Some name listed could not be created. Check related errors. It is giving error. What error it is giving? Let's check here. Let me read the error here. So
you have to correct your connection string.
No, it is giving this one. Give me a second. Yeah, you are right. I'm just going to remove this one. Give me a second. I'm just going to remove this file here. Oh, I think it should work. So
no. You'll have to mention your database name instead of attached DB, which is for local DB. You have to put connection string which is compatible with SQL Server.
Yeah, I think I have given all the connection string in a correct way. I don't think so there is problem. Let me try. If it will not work, definitely I'll follow your instruction.
So yeah, it will not work. It will not.
Okay, no problem. Let's try. So once the database will be created along with all the table which you have seen under the that migration file. So whenever you, okay, perfect, it has done. Now let's come back here into the database. Also, you can see the database through here as well, right? So you can do the view and let's expand it, go under this section and expand the database. Here you can see Pankaj Rai database has already created. Come back here, refresh it, and now you'll be able to see Pankaj Rai as a database here, right? Perfect. And if you'll expand it here, you will see the 6 table is created. Underscore migration history also created. And this table is going to contain all the migration which we are doing here. Like earlier, I have run a migration, add migration, and I have given the initial load. That entry has been already gone here, right? Due to time limitation, I'm not going in a more deep manner. Now I'm directly coming back to the authentication and authorization part. So you can see all the table must have been created here. See, and we don't have any value into this table. As you know that they have just created right now. So there is not any information. There is nothing. We are going to do it all this thing by through the code. So what I'm going to do here, let me close all these things so you will be able to understand it, all the steps in a right way. I am going to account controller and see, I will just go on the register page here. So what thing is going on here? If you come on the register action here, so this is the post method which is going to create your user details. Like you have seen that register and login option was there. So whenever you will fill the form, email ID or a password, once you will put that details, after that it will create that user information. It will assign to the table ASP.NET users, and then it will directly allow to log in, right? But here what I'm going to do, I'm just going to write a few a few line of code to create a particular logins here. So I'm just going to write here the temp code. You can again create a different page to create a different logins. Choice is yours. So Here I'm going to write a new role store class, new role store, and here this is a generic class. I'm just going to include the namespace. So basically, let me do one thing. I'm just going to give a name here. Okay, this is my role store equal to, and now I'm going to select the namespace which is required here. So I'm going to select the identity framework. So as we have discussed earlier, this is the ASP.NET identity framework. So with the help of that approach, we are getting this all the ready-made classes which is exist into our entity framework. I mean the DLL there, and here I'm going to use the identity role class, and inside here I will just pass the new application DB context. So basically here I am going to pass the application DB context which you have seen here. Also you can separate this class file into the different class. I mean this class you can keep into the separate file. Choice is yours. So here I'm going to give, and I am going to just instantiate it. So we have the role store, and with the help of this role store, now I'm going to create a role manager to manage the all the role here, and for that I'm going to use the role manager class which you can see here, and inside it I will pass the identity role, and then I need to pass the role store which we have created here. So I have done this one, and the third line which we are going to do here, that will be basically what we need to do here. We are going to create the actual role which will go under the ASP.NET roles table. So for that, what we will do, we will just use the role manager which we have created here, and then we can use the create async method. You know, this is the async method, so we will have to use the await keyword here, otherwise it will give the error here. So I'm just going to use the await keyword, and inside this one I'm going to use the new identity role. I'm going to call the new identity role here, and see we are going to call the constructor. See, there are two overload. This overload I am going to use, and it is asking the role name. So here I am going to give the role. Okay, this is the admin. So here I have given the role name. Okay, this is the admin, and now I am going to assign this role to the user which we are going to create now, right? So again, to assign this role to the particular user, I mean whosoever will register with that register form. So for that I am going to use here the user manager property here, and here I'm going to use the the method add to role async. So you can see here this method, and here you can see it is asking to information here, the user ID and the role. So you can see this is the array, param array. It means multiple role. If you would like to assign to the user, you can easily do. I'm going to assign here only a single role role here. So for that, what we can do, we will just pass the user. This user from where it is coming, this is coming once you have registered the new user, that will be registered here. Once this piece of the code will be executed, this one will give the entry into your table ASP.NET users, right? And then that user information we are going to pass. Okay, this is the my user, and I would like to assign to this user this value here. What you can do, you can create the static class, and you can give the static property over there. I mean for the different role, and directly you can pass here. So you no need to use the magic string, but only due to time limitation, I'm just going to manually put the hard-coded values here. And here what we need to give, we need to give the user ID. That's the reason it is giving error. So because now this is the async method, it is expecting the await keyword. So I'm just going to give the await keyword here. Now, perfect. So this is just a temp code to create the admin credential, admin role. And now I'm going to run the application, and I will register here a one user that will be like our admin, right? So let it be load. After this one, what I will do, I will create a normal user, and I will show you the difference between these two. So let it be load. Let me put the breakpoint also, so I can show you all the steps in a more detailed manner. You will get more clarity here. So it has been loaded. Now I'm going to click on a register, and let me show you the table which I am talking about here. So this is the here I'm going to show you this is the tables where you will get the first entry. I mean when this piece of the code will be executed, I mean to say when this piece of the code will be executed, you will get an entry under this table. Right now it is completely blank. We don't have anything. So first entry will go into this table when this piece of the code will be executed. So let me enter here, like I'm just going to give the admin@testing.com, and here I'm going to give the password, and also I'm going to give here the password. Let's click on a register. Once I'll click on a register, this post request will be hit. So let's come here, and now I'm going to click on a register. See, request has came here, and whatever the information we have given here, that is coming, like user ID and password, everything is coming here. Now see, here it has just assigned the domain model, all the property which we have got from the view model. View model is basically, if you like to use a view, a model on a only for the view, then we create the view model. And here see, this line of code has been executed. Now let's come back here and refresh this one. You will see that entry has got putted here, right? But still we don't have any value into the SPNet roles, and also into the SPNet user roles here. So what will happen? First entry will go into here into the role, and that ID and this role ID and this user ID will be mapped with this table SPNet user roles. And how it is going to happen? So now see, now it is going to here by mistake I have not commented this code, so it will log in also. So this is the role store has created, and see here we have created the role, right? So if you come here and refresh this one, see, role has been created. So the admin role which I have created, that has got created here. Still we don't have any data here. Once I have refreshed it, see, nothing is here. Once you will go into the next line of code, what will happen? Now if you refresh it, see, that role ID and that user ID has been assigned to into this table. See, DB2, which is the user ID, and once you will come here, see, DB2 is the user ID, right? Again into the role, what is the last ID which you can see? D43. See here, D43, right? So now our admin admin role has got created. Let's click on a continue, and this is done now. See, hello admin.testing. Admintesting.com. Now I'm going to log off. I'm going to stop the application, and here I am going to close this all the open tables here, and now I'm going to comment this temp code. The thing which you have seen I have automatically logged in, that happened due to this one line of code. Now I'm going to comment this code here, and now I'm going to register the another user. So only this user I have created as the admin. The other thing which I am going to registration which I am going to do here, that will be just a normal user. They don't have any role assigned, right? So what will happen, as you know, that this is the piece of the code which have entered the value into the roles table and the role mappings table, right? But now the new user which I'm going to create here, like I'm just going to create user testing.com, and I'm going to give the password like user@123, again user@123. Now once I have registered here, it will be go here and it will log in, and only into this table this entry will be done when that piece of the code will be executed. As of now that is not done. Let's hit the continue, and here it will show you the login. Let me refresh this table and see, only that entry has been gone inside the SPNet users, not anywhere else. You know that we have not created any role. Let me show you it again. So nothing has happened here also, and also that has been not happen anything with here as well, right? Only one user has assigned, right? So now we have the admin and the normal user, both we have right now. Now we are going to apply the authorization, right? So the registration which we have done, that is only for the authentication purpose. If you put the user ID and password under these fields, it means you are the authenticated user, right? But who has a right to access this page or not, that you will achieve through the authorization, which verbally I have explained during our meeting today, right? Now let's come back here. I'm going to stop the debugging, and here basically what I am going to do, let me close this one and let me open the home controller. I am going to allow to the user, I mean to say that the normal user which I have created right now, I don't want to allow to access, suppose this contact page, right? So what I'll do here I can apply that condition here. If user, sorry, code is in a running mode. So here I'm going to put the condition, okay, if user is in role, here you can pass the multiple rows, choices rows, and here I am going to give the role name which I have created, that is admin, again you can create a separate class and you can give that as a property as a constant. So only one places you need to change, it will be applicable. Suppose if you are going to use this thing into the multiple places, the better way is to just create a constant property. So only that will be changed into that particular page where you have defined it. So here I'm going to write a condition. Okay, I am going to write a condition here. If user in a role in admin, right, then only he should be access to this view page, not anyone else, right? So it is giving what it is showing, possibly mistaken empty statement. Okay. Oh, sorry. I am putting the if condition. So if this condition is true, right? If it is in a, I mean, if it is a part of this one, then it will load this page. Otherwise, I am going to create a different page. That page will be visible to the particular user. He cannot, he or she cannot access the contact page. So only for the demo purpose, I am going to quickly create a new page here, view page here under the home folder, under the views home folder. So let me do it quickly here. I'm going to just create a simple page view, and I am going to give the view name as a test. So that test page will be accessible to the user. Test page you are seeing because you don't have rights. Okay, so if it is not admin, I would like to show him the different view page. Here I'm going to manually give that view page name because this is not similar to the action name. Now let's run it and let's test, is it working or not. So what I'll do basically, first of all, I'm going to log in with the admin and let's see is it working or not, and then we will come and we will log in with the normal user as well. So you will be able to see the difference over there, and then I will stop all the discussion here. So let it be load. And let's place the breakpoint here also. It has been loaded. Let's click on a login, admin@testing.com and admin@123. Let's log in here. See, I have logged in. I'm going to click on a contact and see the request has reached here, and it is going to verify. See, it is going to return the view which admin can access. Now I'm going to log off, and now I'm going to log in with the user credential which we have created, user@123. Let's log in again. Click on a contact and see, now it is redirecting to this test page, right? See, test page you are seeing because you don't have rights. Is there anyone who have doubt, any question? You can quickly ask. I'm available only next 2 or 3 minutes, maximum 4 or 5 minutes, because I have postponed my session, right? Then I'm explaining here. So I don't want it to stop in a meet. Pankaj, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Thank you. Thank you
Do you have
very
any
much.
question? First of all, Pankaj, I'm asking to you. Do you have any question here?
No question. Thank you. Thank you for great session.
You're welcome. Anyone else who have any question, any doubt? I will try to explain. I will try to give my best here. Anyone? Okay, I think no one. I would like to take a feedback from each and everyone. Tell me, tell me. Yes, Aslook.
Yes, suppose any user have multiple role, or how can